Dungeons & Dragons, a tabletop game where you can live out your ultimate fantasies of legendary power, wielding the divinity of the gods, hurling powerful, destructive magic, bewildering others with supernatural charms, or smashing headfirst into gargantuan foes. But have you ever considered the power of the net? How about a bag of ball bearings, a set of manacles, or a grappling hook? In this video series, I make the case for the mundane. Hello everyone, I'm Tony, your 62-bit hero, and in this series we'll be going through some of my favorite and least favorite mundane items that appear in the Adventuring Gear section of the 2024 Player's Handbook. In order to ensure that I could get you the best of the best information, I made a character dedicated to the mundane. My human thief rogue named Ziggy, who's currently in the middle of his own epic campaign in a party of 3. Not only will we be going through the details of the items, discussing how they could be useful and my personal experiences using them, but we'll also be ranking them in terms of usefulness, not only for a generic PC, but an additional ranking for the thief rogue, who has special abilities that may make some of those items even better, or in rare cases, even worse. You'll see what I mean. If there's anything I missed about these items, if there's an item you wish to see sooner rather than later, or if you have your own stories involving the wonders of the mundane, please leave a comment about it. The grappling hook. Costs 2 gold pieces, weighs 4 pounds. Not too bad. As a utilize action, you can throw the grappling hook at a railing, a ledge, or another catch within 50 feet of yourself, and the hook catches on if you succeed on a DC 13 Dexterity Acrobatics check. If you tied a rope to the hook, you can then climb it. You should obviously have a rope tied to your grappling hook at all times, which adds another gold piece to the cost and another 5 pounds to the weight. If your DM is concerned about carrying capacity, it's adding up a little bit, but you're fine. Okay, so first thing to be aware of, this doesn't say 50 feet up. It says within 50 feet of yourself. We're talking angles. We're also talking, for most PCs, getting up 15 feet on the same turn that you throw it. For most characters, this can be very helpful situationally. Maybe it won't be used in combat much, but if you're not in combat and you need to climb somewhere, this creates, without much, if any, risk at all, a climbable surface that your DM should not be calling for athletics checks for. Now, before you go crazy, I'm going to read the section of the Player's Handbook that talks about climbing. While you're climbing, each foot of movement costs 1 extra foot, 2 extra feet in difficult terrain. You ignore this extra cost if you have a climb speed and use it to climb. At the DM's option, climbing a slippery surface or one with few handholds might require a successful DC 15 strength athletics check. This is creating a solid climbable spot. It should be fine. Being able to create a climbing spot for your entire party could also potentially save your spellcaster from having to burn a spell slot, or your druid party member from having to use a wild shape, which would otherwise have been used for traversal. Sometimes the grappling hook can be useful in combat to make an escape at lower levels or gain access to an advantageous spot you otherwise may not be able to reach. Sometimes it could be useful to get an enemy into a choke point if they follow you up the rope, especially now that you're in an advantageous position to potentially knock someone back out the window or knock them prone while you're still climbing. They fall all the way back to the floor, they take additional fall damage, and now they're even further away. You could also cut the rope behind you, but then you cut your rope, you know? The utilize action is a lot of action economy, and most characters don't have a climb speed, so it'll take a while to climb 50 feet up with a standard 30 feet of movement. Monsters now, more than ever, have easy access to actions that are able to knock you prone as well. A big problem if you are in the middle of climbing a rope to escape. The other significant issue is PCs gaining access to things like Dimension Door or flying or other similar options as PCs gain levels and abilities. It does also require an athletics check to get the hook to set. The DC isn't high, but I mean, I've definitely rolled below a 13 before. However, if you're playing a thief rogue, all of this is extremely enticing. The thief at level 3 not only gains the ability Fast Hands, which allows you to use the utilize action as a bonus action, but they also gain second story work, which grants them a climb speed. That's a double whammy and eliminates the worst cons. Once your thief rogue hits level 7, you also get reliable talent. You likely have proficiency in acrobatics and literally cannot fail the skill check for the grappling hook. That's the last con eliminated to me. Now, in actual play, my boy Ziggy the Thief Rogue used a grappling hook in a particularly important combat early on in our adventure. We were ambushed by a river, a fog cloud was created, and there was an extremely dangerous, high-priority spell-casting target who could fly and potentially bring more threat our way. I knew we couldn't just lose this guy into the nearby forest. So on my turn, I had Ziggy throw a grappling hook up to a tree across the battlefield. Angles. And climbed up above the fog cloud so that I could survey the scene and catch it if it fled into the forest or left the cloud. On the following turn, I did a bonus action hide and held my action to attack if it became visible. When it popped up above the cloud, I was able to take an attack. I think I missed. And more importantly, I was able to call out its position when it rose up above the cloud to surprise my party, which led to our barbarian and druid landing some nasty hits and taking him out. It's time to quickly explain my rating system in this section of the video, which was definitely recorded at the same time everything else was. 0 stars for all the items that make you say, how dare they make an item this way? Did nobody even sort of think about this at all? Not only are these not worth taking, but I am completely offended by their mere existence. 1 star for the items that are absolutely not worth having according to the actual game rules, either adding limited or no mechanical benefit, while also hindering you in some way by using it or even just by carrying it. 2 stars for items that can have a use, but are either too cumbersome to bother or there are other better items which fill the same purpose. 3 stars for items that are worth taking, but maybe a bit more situational. These may come up a handful of times in your game and save some resources or help you with a challenge. 4-star items are definitely worth taking. These items very likely can be useful in your game and cost you almost nothing to have on your character sheet. 5 stars for the rare shining example of items I would label as essential high impact items. Spoilers, there won't be very many of these in the player's handbook. For a thief rogue, I genuinely call this essential. You need it. It's even in the official art for the thief in the player's handbook. That's a 5-star item. For anyone else, I'd say 3 stars. More than that in tier 1, less than that in tiers 3 and 4. It's useful to have in your party, especially for out of combat scenarios for most characters. If nothing else, it's cheap and it can save a spell slot or a wild shape or something when you just need to reach somewhere tricky. So take the grappling hook. It could come in handy for your party once or twice, or even a few times, and it costs almost nothing to have it on you. Now, if you're interested in keeping track of your mundane items the way I do at my games, I will be making a video about these cards and giving a free download of the item cards at a future date. They're the same size as a standard 52 card deck and were made primarily to be quickly recognizable at a glance and easy to flip through while playing. They've gone through a few changes since I originally created them, and they may go through a few more, so I'm not quite ready to put them out just yet. They include things like item cost, weight, action economy, associated saves, additional item rules, all the things you need. Thank you so much for watching and listening. You can click wherever YouTube has you clicking these days to see another video in this series, and subscribe if you're interested in more tabletop RPG videos. I hope I will at least be able to make you consider the fact that mundane items do in fact exist, that some of them are worth having on your character sheet, and a few of them could even become a defining highlight for your PC's adventure. Do good, be good. Bye-bye.